Hey everyone, it's Melanie here with Stamp with Melanie, and I'm back for my second live of today, and I'm so glad that you're here with me. So um, earlier today, we did a walkthrough of the new fall mini catalog. So if you haven't seen it, the catalog, and you want to take a look at that live, you can find it on my channel. It will be right below this one in the list of videos to see. And okay, I think we're good to go. All right. Well, yeah. All right, we're good. Okay, so today we're going to work with the inked and tiled bundle, and that includes the cling stamp set. This bundle has 2 punches, the cross or X, and then this shape here, and then this cling stamp set, which has really cute imagery as well as great sentiments. I've used it a lot so far, and I thought that this would be a good one to pull out for the September free class. Now, in case you're not familiar, the way the free class works is I present the projects, and you can watch for free. Of course, there's no obligation to do anything more, but if you want the PDFs, and the PDFs only for these projects, then you would need to place a minimum $25 order through my online store, and I'll link that uh, after the live is over. I'll add a link to my online store. Or if you want the PDFs and the kit to make all the projects, then you would need to place a minimum $35 order. And when you do that, I will send you the materials to make the 3 projects, as well as a full pack of the brushed brass butterflies. Okay, and this will be available. This offer will be available until Sunday evening, the end of Sunday, and Sunday's date is September 10th. So get your order in, and by placing your order, I'll know that you want the class, and I'll get that sent out to you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our projects for today. For this first one, we're going to take a piece of half. Okay, and then we are going to take a piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock and a piece of basic white cardstock that I have embossed with the Basics 3D embossing folder. You know, that's a set of 3. And I used the crosshatch one for this card. Now, when I send you out your kit, everything is done for you, all the cutting and everything. And the embossing would be included because that's not part of this bundle, but no inks and stamps and adhesives are included, just so you know. Okay. All right. So let's grab some Stampin' Seal and adhere these together. If you haven't designer series paper in this bundle, by all means take a look at it in the catalog. It's really, really pretty. It's perfect for this time of the year. The colors are gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to layer those. And then I'm going to add a piece of designer series paper. I'm going to add that over here on this side. I mean, see, both sides of the paper are so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of Lost Lagoon ribbon and tie a bow around that. Let me see. Oh, here it is. This is the Lost Lagoon ribbon. And all of these products are in the annual catalog. Get just a little more. All right, I think we're good. I'm just going to tie a bow. This is not my strong suit. For those of you that are new and haven't heard this story, one year I made all my Christmas cards with little tiny red bows. And because I'm so bow tying challenged, one of my friends came over for a workshop. And before the workshop, she had to tie all these bows for me. But that's what friends are for, right? Okay. Still don't like this too much. Let's do it this way. Oh, that's better. All right. So now I'm just gonna adhere this to the front of the card, and then I'll trim those ends again. And I'm just using Stampin' Seal. I know a lot of people prefer Plus, but Stampin' Seal works good for me. Okay. All right, now trim those up. And I'm going to grab my piece of Lost Lagoon cardstock and then a little piece of basic white cardstock. And on this, I'm going to stamp the flower image, this floral image here. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper. And Lost Lagoon ink. Okay, there's that. We're going to use this stamp again, so I want to make sure I get it cleaned off. Okay, set that aside. I'm going to layer these two together, like so. Then I'm going to pull out my trusty dimensionals and attach that to the front of the card. And we're going to overlap the DSP just a little bit here. So there's our card. Now let's add our sentiment. For this, I've punched out the little X image, and I'm going to cut off the ends. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the white piece. Punched out a basic white cardstock. And this time, what I'm going to do So when I line it up, I'm going to line it up so that I'm not quite punching. Whoops, let's get this. I want to leave a little gap at the bottom. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to punch like that. And then instead of just cutting off the flap, I'm going to cut off a little bit extra to kind of match what I did on the other side. Okay, so now what we have is a label that will layer, and it'll have a border on the top and the bottom. I'm going to grab the Lost Lagoon ink, and I'm going to stamp that with, let's see, how about, let's use Lots of Love. We had storms earlier. We have one of those outdoor pizza ovens. And so we were trying to cook the pizzas, and it was pouring giant raindrops. And now the sun's out. It's like it never fails, right? All right. So we're going to stamp Lots of Love right here on our little banner and hope I get it straight. Whoops. Better turn that over. Let me clean this and reposition it to make sure that it's. I don't use the labels when I use them, I stamp more off center than ever. So I try to gauge it by how I set it up on the block, but I didn't do that very well. Let's try that again. So you can see I still have my little border at the bottom. And I'll cut off a little extra. And if this doesn't work this time, we'll go with it anyhow. Oh, look at that. Yay. Okay. Now, I'm just going to grab my Tombow and add just a little bit on the back of here so I can layer those together. Using the Tombow allows me to move it around if I need to. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to grab a couple of mini dimensionals. Well, let me see. How about I just take a regular one's going to fit. All right, I was afraid it would be too thin, but it's not. Not at all. Just add that right on here like this. Guess I'm not on here real straight. Thank goodness for Tombow. Okay, and then we're going to add some of the brass butterflies. I love these things. There's our first card. All right, let's move on to the next one. For our next card, I'm using a piece of Pool Party cardstock as the base. So I'm going to fold that in half. Now, these cards will need, the ones that aren't white, and only the first one was, they'll need to have a layer added to the inside, and that would be included in your kit. All right, so we have a Pool Party bit layer, and then we're going to add this embossed panel on top of that. And the embossing folder that I used here is the Distressed 3D Tile Embossing Folder. This is brand new in the Fall Mini, but I really like the look of it, so I wanted to pull it in here to use it. All right. Okay, now we're going to take a piece of Designer Series paper that I pre-cut. That's going to get placed right there, and we're going to put a little piece of this Pool Party ribbon around it. So what I'm going to do is just add a little seal to both ends. Okay. And just wrap it around. And then we'll add some seal on the back and adhere that to the front of our card. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little piece of basic white cardstock and I'm going to stamp the floral images here. And what I'm going to do, this is the one we used earlier. I'm going to stamp the flowers in Calypso Coral and the stems in Mossy Meadow. And then I'm going to add a second flower. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to tap just the flowers in the ink. And this worked well on my sample, so let's hope I can do it again successfully. So what you want to do, the way I do it is I just hold my stamp set or my stamp pad at an angle and just tap the image that I want ink on the corner of the pad. And then take a look, make sure it has ink. Okay, we're good. And now what I want to do is take note of where I'm going to press the stamp down because I need to do this again. So now you see I have a little bit of the stems that have ink on them, but that's okay. So that's it, Calypso Coral. And now we need Mossy Meadow. Let me clean this stamp off again. And now I'm going to do the same thing. This is a little easier because the image is bigger. The other thing you can do for this part is if you have Stampin' Write markers, you can color the stems. You could actually color the whole stamp. Blends will not work for this. They dry too fast. But the Stampin' Write markers will work. All right. So now I can pretty much see where my flowers were, and it doesn't have to be exact. But that was pretty good. So what I can do now, if I don't like this, it's okay, is I can just take my Stampin' Write marker and go over it if I want. We're going to do the same thing with the small flower. And this time I'm going to stamp the floral image in Lost Lagoon. And I'm just going to stamp it so it looks like it's going to come right in on the stem of the other flower. So there's my flowers. I got it on the stem again. This time the color pretty matches a lot better. So let's see. All right. So you see that time I really did go right on top of it. So that's good for that. We're going to use this Lost Lagoon one more time in just a minute, but for now I'm going to close it up. Okay. I'm going to adhere my flower to a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. And then add the whole thing to the front of the card. But hang on a second. Okay, I'm going to take my Mossy Meadow marker and just go over this. There, I think that looks a little better. Okay. And then put this on. Oh, good grief. I'm going to layer that on there right like that. And now, earlier, I punched out these two pieces. What I'm going to do is cut the sides off of them so that I end up with two squares. And let's do the same with this one. I'm going to use Happy Birthday on this one. So I'm going to grab my Lost Lagoon ink. And stamp Happy Birthday. All right, and then I'm going to take my square and just dab it in the edges, dab the edges in the ink pad. It just creates the tiniest little border, but it gives it some extra dimension. Set that down there to dry for a second. And now I'm going to take a little drop of Tombow on the back of this. Add it diagonally to the other square. So Pool Party and Lost Lagoon go together really well. Okay, and let's grab another dimensional. And we're just going to put this right here. I'm going to grab those brass butterflies again. And one more up here, I think. Yeah. Okay, so there's our second card. And like I said, in your kit, you will get an extra piece of paper, an extra piece of cardstock to add to the inside. All right, one more. This is a fun one. For this one, I started with a Petal Pink card base. And then I'm going to take a piece of Very Vanilla and add a piece of Lost Lagoon that I've embossed with that same embossing folder, the Distress Tile 3D embossing folder. And we'll layer these together. Okay, and then I'm going to just add this to the front of the card. And place that right there. Now, I have a strip of the Designer Series paper. I'm going to add that right down here. So I'm going to add some seal here. And add that right there. Now I'm going to take a piece of Petal Pink and a piece of Very Vanilla. I'm going to stamp the floral image on the Petal Pink and use the Very Vanilla for the border. And I'm going to stamp it in Calypso Coral. And again, this will go off the bottom, but that's okay. And one more time, I'm going to do what we did on the last card and go around the edges, just dabbing it in the ink pad itself. And you can see it just puts a tiny, tiny, tiny little border on it. Okay. Just going to give that just a second to dry. In the meantime, for my sentiment, I'm going to do the same as we did before. I have the 2 crosses. I'm going to cut off the end on 2 sides to create a label. And this time, you know, like before, I'm going to cut off a little extra on the top layer for the border. Okay, that looks good. And this time I'm going to stamp it with Just a Note, and I'm going to stamp in Calypso Coral. One of these looks bigger than the other. Let's see. I think it's this side. All right, that should do it. Great. Okay, this will be dry now, so let's add some Stampin' Seal, put it on the piece of Very Vanilla. That Calypso Coral little ink border really pops now that it's been layered. Add this to the front of our card. Just a little stamp and seal. And then go back to our, whoops, go back to the banner. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a little Tombow to the back of Just a Note. Like so. And then I'm going to put a little stamp and seal on the back of it. I'm going to grab a little piece of this gold twine. This is one of the online exclusives. Just a little piece here. Like this. It comes in a pack with gold and silver. And now I'm just going to make a little loop around it. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Then I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on it. Here's the minis. Put one there. And one there. Oops. Okay, let's bring the card back. Add this to our card. And then I'm going to find those butterflies one more time. Here they are. Okay, so here we have it. We've got 3 sweet cards that are perfect for this time of the year. Great DSP, great stamp set. So there's one. There's the second. And here's the third. Okay. And remember, if you want to get the kit for this for free, then place your order by midnight on Sunday. I will update this video with all the links and everything so that you can order. And meantime, thanks very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope to see you back here next week. Bye now.